did I go? Okay, I say NNS does not see the SV. Oh, numbnuts. That's what I referred to him. Numbnuts. Numbnuts, you know who you are. Peter Joseph quoted 600 million people have died since something happened. What Mr. Joseph was probably referring to was not singularity, which is coming up, which I think is bullshit. Singularity is bullshit. But the point when humanity could feed itself. Humanity! That's how Alex Jones calls it. Humanity! I love humanity! Okay, then he defines free market. Stephen, free exchange and non-coercion. Then Peter Joseph essentially says we're in a post-scarcity world. God, and he said that, and I said this in the last one, that poverty is the worst form of violence. And then Mr. Molyneux pulled out praxeological, which is an Austrian word. I've read Austrian stuff. I have read the tome by Human Action by Mr. Mises, the smartest man who ever lived. I think Mises was smarter than Keynes. He just wasn't funny. And then he made the Austrian argument that exchange is voluntary and everyone's better off. As long as there's no force involved or fraud. Now, so he's saying, here's what he's saying. In Tijuana, I was in Tijuana. And there was this chick there in Tijuana that was begging for money, and her leg was the size of an elephant. She had an elephant leg. Poor thing. She's probably went on to the next world now. She probably died. All right, this is 15 miles from one of the richest cities in the world, San Diego, one of the best weather I've ever seen. And her leg was as big as an elephant's, and she was out begging for money. So that means that when she went in to buy a taco at a local street vendor and paid a few pesos for it, equivalent of 50 cents, the taco guy was better off, and she was better off. But her leg was still too big. And this is Stephen Molyneux's world that he wants. He wants women to run around with legs the size of elephants. That's what he wants. He wants them to die, and that's how he feels about it. And he wants to say force and voluntary exchange and all that happy crap. But hey, let's move on. Then Mr. Joseph says truncated, simplistic. Then Stephen Molyneux gets his vagina hurt. He got sand in his vagina. You got sand in your vagina. He got all upset. Oh, you haven't blah, blah, blah. He got his feelings hurt. He had been making fun of Peter for over an hour, laughing at him, being dismissive, acting like Peter was a complete idiot when Peter's one of the smartest people I've ever seen on the internet. And then all of a sudden he gets his feelings hurt. And then Mr. Peter made an argument that I agree with whole part. Humans have a limited ability to control our behavior. This goes right back to Sigmund Freud and Edward Bernays, or Eddie Bernays as his friend got to call it. Because this is the form of government we have. Because we as people are violent, uncontrollable, and dangerous. And we have to be controlled. That's the truth of it. That's the truth. And then PJ makes a great observation that everyone, that the assumption that everything is voluntary is BS. And I agree with him. And then Stephen talks about voluntarism in a free market, and he compares lovemaking to rape. He did this twice. He did the lovemaking to rape analogy twice. And I understand his point, and I'm not going to illustrate it because, he does his own thing. And then Stephen Molyneux said they could move to 98% of the planet, and it's to their advantage. It was to their advantage to live. It's to that lady's advantage to live in Tijuana with an elephant leg. Because Stephen said she could move to Wyoming in the middle of nowhere and hunt antelope. Oh, yeah. There we go. There he is. That's him. SM. Clueless. You're clueless, Stephen. What's going on is not the free market. That's what he says. So the free market here, the state there. Stephen says, you are just saying adjectives and not proving anything. Adjective, 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 adjective. He ignored everything PJ said. And then PJ put his initiative in initiation of force. There's the tiny little box. The initiation of force. Initiation of force. Initiation of force. Force. Word salad. I love the word salad. Yeah. PJ has 100 million views on his websites on the internet, and he uses word salads. Oh, great. Then Stephen did the gun in the room, the gangsters, lobbyists spend thousands to get billions, sweater manufacturer blocking. So he made the analogy about the sweater manufacturers paying off them. Well, you never made the argument about the millions of people in China that are being paid a nickel a day or whatever they're making to work their butt off, and they have to jump out of buildings because their life's so bad. You never talked about that at all. That's your free market, pal. That's your market. You want them to starve. You don't care about those Chinese people. Okay. And then he said it again. You've never been a business owner. We covered that. Sociopaths mean well. They are 4% of the population. Yeah, you would know about 4% of the population, Stefano. You're a sociopath, as far as I can see. You love your daughter, but I ain't seen it. Okay, then he went on how a 5-minute rant, how business owners do this or do that, market discipline, lemonade stand, the whole thing about his daughter opening a lemonade stand being structural violence, which it was just ridiculous. Stefan accuses PJ of filibustering, lemonade, structural violence. Business failing was great. Stefan then says, well, if I sing, I'm no Freddie Mercury. It's interesting that he chose Freddie Mercury. Was that a Freudian slip? What do you have in common with Freddie Mercury there, Stefan? Okay? Market discipline, creative destruction. PJ explains the pain of closing a business. Stefan comes back, corporations, visa, and state issue, more of his stuff. Then he said he couldn't run Microsoft. Probably could, buddy. I think you could run Microsoft. All you got to do is hire good people and trust them. Essentially, Stefan is saying that no experience with the free market counts. He blames it on the state, warlords, gangsters, non-free market players. So what Stefan is saying, that there's never been a free market. That's his whole argument. And it's a great argument because you can't prove it wrong. It's like saying, the world's so complicated there has to be a God. Nobody can argue against that. And it's a good argument. But it doesn't really get us anywhere. Stefan makes a query that PJ's market failure made him a better person than he is today. And then Peter Joseph attacks externalities, which is an economic concept. Now, Max Kaiser made the best thing about externalities that I've heard. He said the economy is part of the ecology, not the other way around. Owners take care of their stuff. Soviet Union was distraction. Then they got into consumers, producers. 75% of jobs are unnecessary. Stefan compared W to a guy that started a convenience store. Let me just finish up with that. So what Stefan was saying is that W killed all these people and started a war. And I'm not getting into that. I like Mr. Bush. I voted for him twice. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what Stefan said. Stefan and Mr. Joseph never pointed out that the heads of major corporations wield tremendous power, and there are people who sit on boards of 5 or 6, maybe 10 major corporations, and they have an audience directly with the president, just like Mr. Kissinger has a direct audience, and he represents industry, and he has that. And Stefan never made that analogy, and it's BS because he knows better. Okay? And then he said imperialism is state-driven activity armed by the state. He knows nothing of history because the Dutch company that started 500 years ago was a private company. And private industry and business have been working together for 500 years. 500 years of human history, which Stefan completely denies. Now, I've spent a lot of time talking about Stefan. The problem that I have with Mr. Joseph is he doesn't acknowledge that the world is a good place and that we're going to solve our problems. We are going to solve our problems. Period. We're going to make it. The world's not going to be destroyed. There may be some violence, there may be some terrible things ahead, but humanity will survive. We got down to 27,000 people, according to Mr. Deke Jackson's video on the internet, The New History of Humanity. 27,000. and we're not going to see 27,000 again. We're going to survive, and humanity has no idea what it's going to do and how wonderful and how beautiful the world's going to be. And you heard it here first. Thanks for listening.